Adrian?
Natalie, Tony, how you doing? Good to speak to you.
Yeah.
Good to speak to you as well. We should really perhaps start with our live game, the first of which in terms of the Premier League is Leicester against Manchester City. Two teams struggling for a little bit of form. I mean, obviously, it's been long talked about what's going on with Manchester City. It's simply remarkable. Is today the day they're finally going to get that long-awaited win?
Well, I think if they can't beat Leicester, we know
Mm.
they've got massive,
Mm.
massive problems, probably even bigger than we thought. But if you go back the last couple of months, so since November the 2nd, Leicester and Manchester City are joint bottom of the form table in Premier League with Southampton, which is a remarkable thing to say about Manchester City. It's just inexplicable. It's unpredictable. And it's devastating, I think, for the football club because there is a real possibility they may not make the top four. Now, there's an element of balance here. There's a lot of negativity towards Pep Guardiola, and I understand that because they're one win in 13 all competitions. Premier League, 5 points from a possible 45 is incredible. And 28 points is their lowest tally at this stage since the year they were taken over mid-season by Abu Dhabi. But this is Pep's 500th game in charge of
Mm.
City, and he's not done bad. So if we step back overall,
Mm.
I think it's just ease off on Pep Guardiola because he's not been that bad. This is just a blip, but it looks like it's a whole season of a blip.
I was going to add to that, Aid, is that I think we're all, understandably, we're all shocked of what we've witnessed. It's not that they've just lost games. It's the manner of some of the games, how they've been beaten up. I remember watching them at Brighton and thinking second half, wow, Brighton have just, from 1 minute after another, were causing City problems. And then they had the two debacles against Spurs. And, Man United turned a game around against them when they were in terrible form. So it's been shocking watching how they've been beaten as well.
It has, but I think we put our own expectations on it. So I was at the game on Boxing Day for talkSPORT, and they went 1-0 up against Everton. And in my mind, instantly, I thought, oh, this is the day when it all clicks back into gear and they're going to put 4 or 5 past them. But it didn't happen. Everton equalised, their defence is frail, and then Haaland has his penalty saved by Jordan Pickford, who's just in brilliant form right now. So, I mean, we have our own expectations of Manchester City, and I think that adds to the shock value of what's going on here. I think when we look at the injuries that have happened and realise the importance, not just of Rodri, but they've had Stones, who I don't think has been fit all season, even when he's played. Diaz has been out for a little while as well. And it shows that they've got, people say they've got a big squad, but they haven't. They've got a thin squad. Even when players were available, sometimes only on the bench, like De Bruyne has been for the last couple of months, their bench wasn't full, or it was full of teenagers. So he operates on a very small squad. That's his choice, Pep Guardiola, and that decision is backfiring now.
So that is at a 2:30 kickoff live on talkSPORT. At 3 on talkSPORT 2, we have Spurs against Wolves. And you were sort of saying, look, lay off Pep. Do you feel the same for Ange Postecoglou?
No, not really. Well, I'll tell you, he's his own worst enemy. I didn't really join in with the breath of fresh air thing when he first started. And I know he had a brilliant start results-wise, but I was always just, hold on, this is just like the first 10 games of the season, and let's just see how he goes. But Ange, he's picking fights left, right, and centre. For example, after the defeat at Forest, where actually Spurs weren't really outplayed,
Mm.
Forest scored, Spurs didn't, and it was just one of those games. But Ange picked a fight with a journalist. The journalist said that Ange had claimed that his side lacked energy, and Ange said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. I said the side needed energy. Now, come on. If a side needs energy, it's lacking energy. He's
Yes,
pulling
I
apart
saw
little
that.
words. It's just ridiculous from him. And any wonder? I mean, that's not just journalists. It's not a media lovey thing. Fans will be annoyed with that. They will look at that and think, what are we talking about here? Get on with winning games, mate, instead of picking fights with journalists. They haven't got any centre halves. That's a massive problem. And they come up against a Wolves side today who are banging form. And I really like the cut of the jib of Victor Pereira, their manager. He is a philosopher. Do you want a good one from him after the game at the weekend when they won 2-0? In our lives, if we don't have confidence, it's impossible to achieve targets. It's just a lesson for us all going forward. Stay confident, people, and you'll achieve your targets.
Is that the same for you regarding Peterborough, Aid?
I have no confidence in Peterborough. We are bottom half of the table and can't defend.
I mean, one player who has been instrumental for Wolves this season, of course, is Matheus Cunha. He's still awaiting this FA hearing after, obviously, what happened a couple of weeks ago post-match, where we saw him, having that outburst. Do you think he should have been banned by now? And because someone's suggesting it's a little unfair that he's able to play, although this is the process, we have to say. Yeah,
there is the process, but we know that the process in many things in football is incredibly slow. I don't know. I mean, I do wonder why these things take so long. Cunha, even from the start, I remember seeing the game against Man United. It was the first game of last season, 18 months or so ago. And he ripped them apart. They lost 1-0 to a dodgy goal, but he ripped them apart. And I thought, wow, he's some player, but he didn't have the consistency that he now is showing. And this is a top 4 player waiting to happen. So he's going to get a move, whether it's next month or in the summer. He's going to get a move. He's got to be played in the right position, played in the right way. And he's almost a maverick player. So you've got to allow him some freedom. So if you've got a rigid system, if you're Pep Guardiola signing Matheus Cunha, don't bother, because you're just going to kill the joy of the player. He would have to track back. He would have to do this. He'd have to do that. You've got to sign Cunha and allow him to be Matheus Cunha to get the best out of him.
Something I just wanted to pick up on when you say about things take too long. I did see your tweet on VAR. Are you still not happy with it, are you?
I don't think I ever will be. Listen, I've been a paying football fan for many, many years, and I just don't think football needed it. I was never, sure, we criticised officials. I was never on board with the massive criticism of on-field officials. And actually, if you look at the decisions they're making now on field, I mean, linesmen in particular, outstanding the work that they do and the things that they spot, and should get more credit. But VAR for me, it's not real football, to be honest. I'll never be on board with it. I don't enjoy it at all. And the other night at Liverpool was ludicrous. Yeah. And media companies, not us, because we do it live and we're there and we'll show you and we'll tell you, but media companies do skip over it. If you're watching highlights on telly, you have no idea how long it takes, and they really should put it in caption, because I think it's important that fans understand this is not a good process. This is not a healthy process for the game of football, and it takes far too long still.
Yeah. It's a fair argument. And by the way, just one quick word on them. Nate was talking now about, the Cunha and, facing that charge. In France, when I was there, if you were sent off or, you faced going to the commission in Paris, you had to appear literally, it was either the first Thursday or the next Thursday after. It was literally 10 days would be the max. You didn't have time after that, or otherwise they'll just make the call.
It's a bit like in Serie A as well, in Italy. They're so, even with issues that are, more in depth than that, when we're talking about financial issues, they get it done rapidly, with City's charges that we're still waiting to hear about. It's crazy how long it takes, certainly.
Way too long.
Adrian, listen, enjoy. You've got another busy day ahead.
Cheers, Aid.
Look forward to it. I'm going to enjoy it. No problem. Thank you.
Cheers.
Adrian Durham, then, who will be in situ at, I think it is Crystal Palace, isn't it? Southampton, that he'll be at today.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.